Hi guys, my name's Sierra and today I will be doing a book haul for the month of January. And it's quite a lot of books because I got a couple Amazon gift cards for Christmas, some Christmas money, so I did some shopping online through Amazon. And I also went to a Goodwill in the area that they have bins and bins of books, and all the books are 25 cents. So I took advantage of that and also bought a whole bunch of books there. So let's get started. So the first book I have is called One Amazing Thing by Chitra Divakaruni. And it is about 9 people who are in an office when an earthquake happens, and instead of like freaking out and worrying about almost dying, they talk about that each one of them will tell a story about something that they think is amazing that happened during their life that they've never told anybody else. I just thought it sounded pretty interesting, so I picked that up. The next book is a library copy that I got at Goodwill, so it does have the like plasticky library cover on it, and it is called Beating Heart by A.M. Jenkins. And it is, from what I read on the book jacket, it's a paranormal romance between a girl who I believe died in this house and a teenage boy that moves in, and they kind of like serendipitously meet and start developing a relationship with each other. And it's also really cool because it's written in like verse form, like poems. So I love when books are written like that. So I thought it was really cool. The next book is called Test Pattern by Marjorie Klein, and it takes place in the 1950s, and it is about a girl who, once they get a TV in their house, she can see like future events in the test pattern of the TV. The next book is called The Full Ridiculous by Mark Lamprell, and it's about a guy who gets into a car accident, and after he recovers from the car accident, like his whole life starts like unraveling. Like his daughter gets into a fight at school, he's having problems in his marriage, his son gets caught with drugs. It's a like humor adult fiction book, and I don't read a lot of adult fiction, so I thought it'd be pretty good to read this since it's fairly short and it sounded like it would have a really good story. The next book is a like historical fiction book. It takes place in South Carolina during like civil rights, the Jim Crow era. It's about a lynching that happens that a lot of people witnessed, but nobody ever really did anything or said anything about it. And it takes a fiction perspective telling the story from all these different characters' point of views. And it's called The Tree of Forgetfulness by Pam Durbin. The next book is Perfect Escape by Jennifer Brown. And I've wanted to read Hateless by Jennifer Brown for a long time. I just haven't gotten around to buying it yet. But I saw this I think I saw it at Goodwill, so I picked it up for $1, and it's about a girl and her brother has OCD, so he's super specific about everything, so he's like super careful and really organized and like kind of like the star of the family because he's very careful and organized with everything. And then she realizes that she's had enough of it one day, and while they're driving home and her brother's in the car, she decides that she's just going to drive away and they're going to go on a road trip together. Sounded like something that was really fun and exciting to read about. The next book is a memoir by Anna Fields, and it's called Confessions of a Rebel Debutante. And it's about a girl who lives in the South, and she has been coach to do all these like debutante things and balls and all sorts of these like really fancy elaborate things that you think of when you think of like Gone with the Wind style South. And she really was not into that. She's kind of nerdy, likes to read books, and she ends up not getting invited to like the big event of the like debutantes because she's too rebellious. And this is just a story about her life and how she grew up like that and then continued her life after. At one point she was Diana Ross's assistant, and like she moved to New York to try to like make a name for herself. So I thought it's probably pretty funny, and I like reading books about the South. The next book is called The Brightest Star in the Sky by Marion Keyes, and it's about people who live in an apartment building together, and they're all pretty eccentric and kind of quirky. So they start like befriending each other and learning more about each other, and I just thought it'd be a funny read. The next book is set in Russia in the 1980s during the Chernobyl incident, and it's called All That Solid Melts into Air by Dara McKeown, I think is how you say it. And I am obsessed with the Chernobyl incident, and if you don't know what that is, it's when a nuclear power plant had a huge accident, and like the whole town that surrounded the power plant was completely covered in radiation. And if you search, there are some super cool pictures of what it looks like today, because it's still banned to this day because it's not safe for anyone to live there. I think they cleared it a couple years ago for you to go and visit, but you can't stay for periods a long time because it's so radioactive and so dangerous. The next book is called Willow by Julia Hoban. This is about a girl who, her parents get really drunk one night, and she has to drive them home from a party, and she ends up getting into a car accident, and both of her parents are killed. And dealing with that, she starts self-harming, and she has to deal with self-harm, and she meets a boy. And I'm not that crazy about romance books, but I do really like teen issue books, like self-harm, drugs, alcohol, that kind of thing. It's my favorite type of book to read, so I figured this would be super interesting. And it has this ugly sticker on it because it's covering some sort of barcode. I got it used on Amazon because I think it was only $2, and it was in my cart for a long time, but because I only paid $2, it came with an ugly sticker. Alright, so the next book that I found, I actually found it at the clearance Goodwill, so I only paid $0.25 for it, but it is the coolest thing I found there. It is classic horrors. So it's Frankenstein, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and Dracula, and it's in this beautiful leather binding. The inside of it says Borders, so it was like a Borders collection book, and it's so beautiful. It's black and gold, and it has gold pages and one of these fabric bookmarks. I already have Frankenstein and Dracula and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde like graphic novel, but this is so beautiful, I just couldn't leave it. I love it so much. The next book you guys probably have seen on BookTube if you watch anybody else's haul videos, rep videos, reviews, anything, and that is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. It is about a girl who can walk through people's dreams, and it combines two of my favorite genres, dystopian and fantasy. So I thought it'd be so cool, and I've heard so many good things about it on BookTube that I just had to buy it. The next book is called Miss Me When I'm Gone by Philip Stevens. It is about a indie music artist who goes back home and is dealing with his life back home, and then people are talking about how there's a serial killer in the woods of the town, and then it makes him start thinking about his sister who disappeared when they were young. So I thought it'd be really, really cool. It kind of sounds like mystery type of horror. I don't know, I thought it was cool, and the cover is just so, so pretty. The next book is called Before I Die by Jenny Downham. It's about a girl who finds out she's going to die. I don't know how. I think she has a disease of some sort, and she has stuff that she wants to do before she dies. So it's just her, about her life, coming to terms with her fate and what's going to happen and all the stuff she does in the meantime to live her life to the fullest before she ends up dying. It sounds really sad, but also really, really interesting at the same time. The next book is called Important Things That Don't Matter by David Amsden. This is about a guy who his dad comes back into his life, and they just kind of discuss like life things that are going on, and it just sounds so good. It's about like family and sex and adulthood and being an adult and what it means, and it's set in the 80s and 90s, so I thought it'd be really cool. It's another adult fiction book to try to get me into reading more adult books instead of just focusing on YA. This is another adult fiction. It is called The Bird Room by Chris Killen. And I believe this is a UK book because all of the blurbs on the back are written by UK magazines and newspapers. I'm not 100% sure though, but this is two storylines, one's a guy and one's a girl, and they intertwine, and it's like romance and humor, but there's also like something dark that's going on. So I'm interested to see what that is. And this is another one that the cover was just so pretty that I had to buy it. The next one is an older book. It is called The Amulet of Samarkand. It is book one of the Bartimaeus trilogy. And I remember when I was, I think, in middle school, a lot of people were reading this and they said it was really good, and I just never got into it. So when I saw it at Goodwill, I picked it up just because I really like fantasy books, and I figured I'd give it a shot and maybe I'll like it and I'll buy the other two. But it is about an 11-year-old apprentice of a magician, and a rival magician embarrasses him, and the 11-year-old decides that he wants to get revenge, so he starts like learning dark magic and all this stuff, and he gets involved with a lot of things that he thought he wouldn't. So I just thought that this would be really, really cool to read, and this is by Jonathan Stroud. This book is called The Robber Bride by Margaret Atwood, and I'm not 100% sure what the title has to do with it, because according to the synopsis on the back, it's about three people who have this mutual friend who all kind of ruin their lives in some way, and then she dies, and they go to her funeral, and then like years and years later, when they're really old, they're all like eating dinner together, and the girl that they were friends with like comes through the door and she's not dead. So I don't know if she faked her death or if something else is going on, but it sounded really cool and I wanted to read it. Now this next one, I feel like I've heard of it before, but I don't remember if it was good things or bad things. So I bought it just because, again, this cover was so interesting and I think so cool. It is called Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil by John Burnett, and it takes place in Savannah, Georgia, and it weaves the storyline of a murder that happened in the past with what's going on in the town in the present. And I like books that again, I like books in the South, and I like books that deal with like murder and crime and all of that stuff. I think it's going to be really cool, and like have that faux historical fiction that I like. So I thought that's going to be cool to read. The next book is by Stephen King, and it is one that I've never heard of before, and it is called Gerald's Game. And it's about a husband and wife, and they're like fooling around one day, and then when they're at their lake house, and then all of a sudden the husband handcuffs his wife to the bed and like keeps her there. Like, he is gone completely crazy, and he traps his wife in his house, and all this stuff goes down. And I love Stephen King so much, and I've never been disappointed by a book that I've read by him. So anytime I see one, when I'm at a good book, because usually $2 or less, if I haven't heard of it and I read the synopsis and it sounds pretty good, I'll just pick it up. So I'm excited to read this as well. The next book you might be familiar with, again, if you watch other people's hauls. This is at least a couple months old, but every time I saw it in somebody's haul, I just was so intrigued, so I finally bought it. And it is called Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. And it looks like an IKEA catalog, and the inside kind of is IKEA-y. Has like a map and what the building looks like, but it's actually a novel. Alright, so the next book is The Boy in the Striped Pajamas by John Boyne. And if you don't know what this book about, it's about a 9-year-old boy, I believe in a concentration camp, and like during the Holocaust. I've heard so many good things about this book from so many different people, so I really wanted to read it, and it's so small that I figure I can just breeze through it in a day. So I'm going to try to get to this pretty soon, because I feel like it's going to be such a good book. The next book you guys, again, probably have already heard about from tons of different booktubers, and that is The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black. This book just came out this month, and I'm so super excited to read it because I love Holly Black. I read The Spiderwick Chronicles, which were written by her and another author, and I read her, I believe it's just a trilogy of like a modern day take of like combining urban things and fantasy things together, and it's so good. I love it so much. And this book is about a time when like fantasy things coincide with regular life, and there's this boy in the woods in a glass coffin who has horns, and he's been there for years, and this girl and her brother always make up stories about him, and then one day he wakes up, and I'm really excited to see what happens to him. And this is another one that the cover is just so pretty. The next one is called The Ballad of West 10th Street by Marjorie Kiernan. And this is about a family who lives in New York, and the dad dies from an overdose. He was a British like punk rock star, and he overdoses, and he leaves behind his wife and his 2 kids, and they are just kind of living life one day at a time, kind of monotonous and boring. And then this guy moves in next door to them from the south, and like their lives change, and it says that it is an urban fairy tale, and I love those, and I think it's so good, and I hope it's going to be great. So, and then the next one is another one that I'm probably not going to read I'm probably going to read parts of it, but definitely not cover to cover, because it's another collection novel that I found at Goodwill, so it is kind of beat up and old, but it is The Complete Works of Lewis Carroll. So it has Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, Through the Looking Glass, Sylvie and Bruno Concluded, The Hunting of Snark, Phantasmagoria, and verses, short stories, essays, games, puzzles, problems, acrostics, and miscellaneous writings. So I love Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, and I think this is going to be such a great book to add to my collection. It's so huge, and I'm so excited to have it, and especially since it was only a quarter. And the next book I actually got in the middle of filming this video. The mailman knocked on my door and I got a package from Book Outlet, and it is Landline by Rainbow Rowell. And I'm super excited because I got this book for 99 cents. Brand new, hardcover. Book Outlet was doing 2 deals at once. One deal was free $5, no strings attached, just like having a $5 gift card. And they had the hard copy version of Landline on sale for $5.99. So I combined the 2 coupons together and I got this book for 99 cents. And I'm super excited because I've heard good things about it and I really want to read it. And I've never read a book by Rainbow Rowell before. And I'm super excited to read it. If you don't know what it's about a failing marriage. And the husband goes over Christmas and takes the kids to his parents' house to, they were all going to go on a family trip, but his wife couldn't go at the last minute, so he decided, oh, whatever, I'll just go without you. And she feels like she ruined her family, and this is going to be the final thing that, tears their family apart. But then she figures out a way that she can communicate with her husband before they were married. So she's trying to fix the problems of their marriage before they actually become married. It sounds really cool. I'm gonna figure out how. I really am excited to see how they describe how she does that exactly, because I think it specifically says not time travel. Yeah, it's not time travel. So I'm excited to see how they do it, because usually those things, it's kind of like time travel-y. And yeah, so I'm super excited to read this. And finally, the last book is an ARC that I got from Penguin, and that's an advanced reader's copy. And it is The Alex Crow by Andrew Smith. And this book doesn't come out until March. It is, again, a multiple storylines book that kind of weave together and play off each other. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4 storylines or characters that it follows. And one is a boy who is a refugee after his village got attacked. And he moved in with a family in West Virginia. And he is spending, and it's about his summer that he's spending at a technology detox camp. And then the second one is a schizophrenic bomber. The third one is diaries from a failed expedition in the Arctic in the 1800s. And the last one is a depressed bionic crow. So it sounds so interesting. Andrew Smith is another one that I've heard so many great things about, and I wanted to read a book by him, and then when I came home one day, this is sitting on my front door, so I'm super excited to read it. Once I'm done reading it, I'll definitely be putting up a review about it, so hopefully I can get to this soon, because it's so good. And this does come out, or it should be coming out in March of this year. And I'm so excited to read this. So that's my obnoxious first book haul on this channel, and there's so many books. I'm not even going to attempt to pick them up because I know I can't. There's so many of them, it's insane. I know I'm getting another shipment from Book Outlet soon. So depending on when it comes, it'll either be a haul by itself, because I forgot how many books I ordered, but it'll either be a book outlet haul by itself, or I'll just throw it into the February haul. But I'm super excited, and if you've read any of these books, because I've not read most of them, if you've read any of these books, tell me which one I should read first. Tell me if you want me to go into more detail about any of them, because I'll read them and do a wrap-up video. I also should have my January wrap-up coming up soon, and my February TBR and goals. So I hope you guys like this video and seeing the kind of books that I like to buy, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!